Hello there, and welcome to Recovery Talk. You're here with Heidi Love. I'm your host for Recovery Talk, and hopefully Timothy Earle will be joining us shortly. He had to bounce off. Sometimes we just have technological difficulties. And today I am so excited on Recovery Talk. We have Kate and Shane, who you see there in the little box. You guys wave. They are guest speakers today, and they're a couple. They're both in recovery, and they're going to share. We're going to ask them questions, and you guys can ask them questions too. So if you're on Facebook and you want to type in the comments, I see the comment box right here, and I can answer your questions or interact with you. So please use the comment box. We're happy to have you here, and thanks for listening in. We're here as part of Love Coach Academy's Compassion Talks. They happen 7 days a week, and there's support in the morning and at night. So if you go to Love Coach Academy, you can find any of the talks. There's a lot of great coaches and helpers and a lot of free support. So I recommend you checking it out. And today, the topic is relationship and recovery. And again, hopefully we'll get Timothy back momentarily. So Kate and Shane, why don't you just introduce yourselves and maybe share where you're from? And Kate, you can share how you know me if you want to.
I'm Kate, and I'm assuming this is what type of meme is it?
It's just, we talk about recovery, but you can say whatever you want, but I don't really mention the.
Okay. Kate, love addict, alcoholic. I know Heidi from the Bay Area. She was my therapist for a few years, and then after much pushing, I finally convinced her to be my sponsor. A little bit of resilience, but she agreed, and so she has definitely helped me tremendously. I don't know, how long have we known each other? 4 years or so?
Yeah. Is there any way you guys can be a little bit closer to the microphone? Because I'm having just a little bit of a hard time hearing you.
It's fuzzy. I can't hear.
Dang.
Oh, it cleared.
Yeah, cleared up.
To bring it closer?
Yeah, just a little bit closer if you can.
Okay. So yeah.
And can you flip it sideways? Just curious.
Yes, I can.
Okay. No, go back the other way.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Well, anyway, I lived in the Bay Area for a few years, and then I ended up moving down to Fresno, and that is where I'm from, and that's where I've met Shane, and yeah.
Okay. I'm Shane. I'm born and raised in Fresno. Been sober for about a year and a half. I pretty much I'm an alcoholic addict as well. And I met Kate on the dating app Hinge, actually. And that worked out pretty well for us because we got engaged yesterday. So we are.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Kate, you have to tell us your little story, but let Timothy introduce himself first, and then we'll go back to you, Kate. I love to hear the romance. How fun!
I'm a Valley boy. I lived 7 years in Selma, California. Some of my primary years were in Selma, just 20 minutes south of Fresno. So I have a pretty good take on the flavor of life in the San Joaquin Valley. And I live on the island of Maui. Like Heidi, I am a couples individuals coach, and I am also in recovery from love addiction, codependency, and the way that would show up often in my life is sexual compulsive behavior. Oh, we lost him. Definitely bordering on sexual addiction. And, I would say I've struggled with nicotine, but so far so good with not smoking anymore.
The interesting thing, Timothy, that I find is that with most addicts, and my definition of addiction, that only addicts can be addicted to certain substances, but anybody on the planet, even a non-addict, can get addicted to sugar or nicotine. I find that so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicotine is, and sugar is, very physically addictive substances on the chemical level, right? Like heroin, opiates. But yes. So I was just saying that the for Kate and Shane, the area of addiction for me is sexuality, compulsive sexual behavior, and that's what I'm mostly in recovery from. And you can add into that codependency, love fantasy, love addiction, romance.
Yeah, so speaking of romance, let's get a little hit here for our love fantasy addicts who are listening in.
Funny, the last time I did this phone call, I believe I was single, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I was making Timothy feel very comfortable behind the scenes. So I remember, you know, my love addict came out and his avoidant was out. So it was a interesting combo. Yeah. Want me to just tell you about Shane, or what do you want me to talk about?
Yeah, tell us what happened this weekend.
So we had planned a trial. We are here currently right now. So Shane is in the Air Force, he'll be leaving soon, and so we just wanted to have a little bit of a getaway before he left. And this place is very special because it's where his family vacations a lot. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but his mom had passed away a few years ago, and so this place holds a lot. There is that was planted in her memory, and it has a plaque as well. And he came out here to Carmel. He took me there yesterday and proposed in front of the.
Yeah, well, what was really kind of amazing about that too was that I had already planned on proposing in front of that tree, and after I had already made those plans, she told me that she wished my mom could be involved somehow in our engagement, and then she told me another night that she had this vision, and she said, for some stupid reason I feel like it's going to be by a tree or a bush. So everything that she had imagined and hoped it would be like was what I had already planned. So, you know, you can take that for what you will, but it just kind of was one of those like how could this not be
Fate.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm imagining your mother was right there the whole time going, yes, yes, yes. I can feel her even as you talk. So beautiful. You guys are making me cry already.
I love Timothy's raw emotion. Thank you for sharing your heart, Timothy. And I just want to say, Kate, it's so exciting for me because I feel like I've gotten to go through part of your sober life with you. I mean, when I met you, you were in a very different place. And I remember Kate saying, if I don't embarrass her right now, she might stick me. So I remember Kate saying, I don't think I'm ever going to get married. I'm not going to find my person like this. She wanted it. She wanted so badly to have that. And she has a daughter, and to have the love and the commitment and the family and, her spiritual beliefs met. And I just remember, and I went through several dating partners with her, and like I know this isn't the one, this. And I remember she called me. Am I going to embarrass you with Shane? So she called me when she met Shane, and she's like, Heidi, I know this is my person. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go through this ride. Like, what's going on? And it's just been so sweet to watch you guys unravel, and the freedom that Kate shares in being loved by you and your acceptance of everything. And I think that's one thing. Maybe we'll open the how's it to be a couple in recovery with that topic. I know for me, dating, that there's some people that just wouldn't date me because of my past, and if I'm honest. And so there was always that piece of me that's like, wow, if I really share everything with a person, are they going to want to be in relationship, and can they accept the things I've done in addiction or whatever? So I'll tell you guys a stupid quick little story. I went out on this date with a guy I really liked. I was very interested in him, and this was a long time ago. Obviously I'm with somebody now, so I'm not dating now, just to make that clear. But we went out on a date, we started talking, and we had been in business classes together, so we knew each other a bit. We were somewhat friends. We knew a little bit about each other. And he goes, Heidi, one of the things that's on my list of dating is I don't want to date a woman that has slept with more than 10 guys. And I just busted out laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's a beautiful wish, I'm just not your gal, so we can end the date now. And then we talked about my history, and we had a good laugh as friends or whatever. But not a thing for me. And my addiction, that was a very frivolous part of me. And I'm thankful that in sobriety, 1, I know who I'm sleeping with. 2, I like the person that I'm sleeping with. And 3, I remember it the next day. So how is it dating sober for you guys?
Well, it's interesting. Before I gotten with Shane, I've never been, considering who my daughter's father is. I didn't want to date somebody who had a substance problem, because I can trust my own self and my own sobriety, but I didn't want to, I guess, play or take the risk of getting close to someone, bringing someone to my daughter's world, then having them go out and relapse. That was just kind of like, I just didn't want to date someone in recovery. I don't know what switched when I started dating Shane. There were just so many similarities, and we really connected through God or our higher power. And so that kind of let me break down my walls a little bit and give it a shot. And I'm so glad that I did. He just understands. I have a very dark history, and even 5.5 years clean, like I still have tons of things I need to go through. And what did you had said at the very beginning of our relationship? Because of course, me being who I am, I try to push people away when they get too close. And I had mentioned something that you were like, we can heal, or I don't know what it was.
Well, I've always felt like for us, like, our relationship was, we were kind of healing each other, and like, I feel like
in a non-codependent way.
Yeah, like, focusing on our higher power in order to do that, not just depending on each other for that. But also just, I said, I just don't feel like anybody could accept me and understand me for exactly who I am and what I've been through, and be able to relate to it and empathize in a way that was so honest, if they hadn't, had the kind of similar struggles in past that I have had. Not to say that the problems that we've had in the past are the same. Me and her's journeys are very different from each other, but just that common ground of having gone through, so much trauma, and just being able to meet each other on that level. I've dated people who weren't in recovery. Most people I've dated weren't in recovery, and they just didn't get me, and I didn't feel understood, and I didn't feel heard. The first conversation that we ever had on the phone, I told her, like, this is the most heard I've ever felt by, a woman before. Like, everything I was telling her, it was so genuinely reciprocated. And our whole relationship is like that. First phone call we ever had, she was crying on the other end of the phone when I was telling her about my past. I just couldn't believe how much she just, like, already cared about my story, and so just to be able to relate to each other on such a deep level really, like, started things off so strongly for us. I think that's how we were able to kind of develop feelings for each other, as quickly as we did, is because it was just this.
We had an emotional foundation set in place.
Exactly.
And usually me being who I am, it's always, I sex first. Put the cart before the horse, so to speak. But even though I don't know.
You can say it, but we understand.
Date, okay?
Yeah, we lasted like 4 hours, right?
But we talked on the phone for at least probably a couple hours every single night for like 2 weeks before we ever met in person. So we were not strangers by the time that happened. We had a very
There's no judgment on my end. So
yeah.
I just wanted to
developed an emotional foundation, like she said. It wasn't like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, let's go. It was like,
I have no self-control. I mean, so
there's one thing, and I know that I think you have way more self-control than that statement, but I understand those kind of statements, how we say them when we're in recovery, because we've been there where we didn't have any control. But I, like you said earlier, you trust yourself in recovery, and that means you do have some level of control, right, Kate?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah.
But in the face of this amazing individual named Shane, you had, it was time. I get it. I just wanted to reflect that in listening to the two of you, and Shane, I've not spoken with you before. There's a level of clarity and comfort in your communication with each other that reassures me, just as a coach, as I'm listening to the two of you. I am reassured that there is, and you had all those conversations before you actually had your first date. And I'm almost positive that as you two discussed, there was this reciprocity that Shane was talking about, and this understanding empathetically, intellectually, spiritually each other, which laid that foundation so that when you two were together, are like, why wait, right? Let's see if this is all there. And I'm really grateful, and it tells me that you've both done a lot of work on yourselves to be able to communicate at the level that you're communicating. So that's my reflection for the moment.
I will say one thing. You could say this better than I do, but you were talking about we have recovering God in our relationship, and we can't fail.
No, I had mentioned to her that, like, I just felt like what an advantage, for us both to have the strength in our spirituality that we share, and also just the gift of sobriety that we both share. If we were to do the necessary things to each maintain those, I mean, those are just two huge advantages to a long, healthy, sustained relationship and marriage, because if you look at the vast majority of marriages and relationships, how many of them have both of those things going at the same time, and if you can maintain that, of course you have to put in the work to do that, and we understand that. Then I don't see a way we can fail if we both honestly put in the effort to do that.
Yeah.
I love that. I posted that in the chat box. If we have recovery in God in our relationship, we can't fail. And one of the things that I've taken into, so I work with a lot of people that are in recovery, but I work with just as many people that aren't addicts and are not in recovery, and work with couples. And one of the things that I brought into my work that I love about recovery is the concept of living one day at a time. And we can give up a behavior for a day, but maybe not a lifetime. And when we apply that to relationship, maybe it's having a snarky tone, or maybe it's meeting someone's needs that you forgot to meet because they love words of affirmation and you are not that good at saying words of affirmation. So one day at a time, you give them words of affirmation because you know that's what they need. And so living each day, waking up with the choice, I'm loving you today. I'm committed to you today. How can I let you know that I love you today? Instead of saying I love you, it's, do you know I'm loving you? Do you feel loved by me? And living that one day at a time. So maybe Timothy, you can rip on that too, and then Kate and Shane, I'd love to hear how you can take the one day at a time recovery principle into the relationship.
A dear friend of mine, early on when I was probably in my 20s, he said to me and the mother of my children, Timothy, every day show her in one way at least that you love her. And so that would be my question is, how do you two practice showing each other, like Heidi was saying, that you love each other on a day-to-day basis?
We have very similar languages.
Yeah.
And you know how you're people in relationships, I mean, they're all person PDA and the other one doesn't. Him and I both are very similar. And I feel like that has a huge part in we work.
Yeah, it really is.
Wait, Kate, can you, so we hear Shane totally clear, but you cut in and out a little bit. So I'm wondering if you can set the phone down and then talk pretty loud.
Oh, do you want to hold it maybe? I don't know. Okay. I was just saying that, wait, is this where you can hear Earle? I don't know. So for me, I feel like we have the same love language. In a lot of relationships, people are either, you know, one's always giving more. It's usually the woman chasing the man. Not trying to be sexist, but that's majority. That's pretty much how it is. Or one likes PDA, one doesn't. I feel like for him and I, we are very similar in how we communicate, how we show that we care for each other. We're just very similar. I don't know.
And I think and the point she's trying to make with that is that like we both really like want the same things, and so I think that it's kind of makes it easy for us because we give each other what we would want,
We're the same in relationships.
every day.
We're the same in relationships. Like when we compare our past relationships, we were the ones that were always putting in the work and the ones, putting our best foot forward and catering to the other person. And so with him and me, we're just, I don't know.
It just comes naturally.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples? I'm getting one of the primary ones is you both speak the love language of touch. And so you have affection as well as sexuality. You have all that gambit to show each other that you love each other. Give us maybe an example in some other areas.
Yeah, maybe we can give examples, Timothy, and then they can figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Communication.
You go, Heidi. Oh,
sorry.
Meditation. Is that what I heard?
No, communication.
Yeah, we both make it really. We both stress the importance of speaking our mind to each other. Well, we can always tell when the other person is off or feeling a type of way, and we sit down with each other and we express the importance of speaking that out, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And we both do such an incredible job, I feel like, of allowing the other person to just say what they need to say and have no judgment, and to meet it lovingly, and we've had really difficult, not difficult as in challenging between us, difficult as in just emotionally heavy conversations from the beginning, things that were really, really uncomfortable to say. And it goes both ways. When she can tell when I'm feeling something, and she'll just very lovingly sit there and be like, what's wrong? Please tell me. Don't keep it in. Don't hold it in. Don't let it fester. And I'll open up and I'll tell her. And after however long it takes to talk about it, we talk about it and it's over. And it's the same thing with her. I know when she's off and we talk about it. So communication, and then just quality time spent, we both just, that's a big love language for us too, is we genuinely just want to be together. It doesn't have to be doing anything in particular. Sometimes it can be as simple as just sitting there on the bed, hanging out and just laughing about stupid stuff. We just want to be together. It's just.
I want to jump in for a second. I'd love you guys to share your secret. I know that a lot of couples that I work with, one of the glitches they have in communication is not creating safety for the other person to share open and honestly. So there's fear going on, or they feel like if I do share myself and I reveal myself to you, there's a bad result that happens. So they may hold back. So can you tell our listeners what you guys do to create safety in your raw honesty together?
I think one thing, so I in the very beginning of our relationship, I had asked Shane how, he communicates if there's an argument, and he never raises his voice. And doesn't cuss people out. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, I've never been in
So weird.
what the fuck you mean you're not going to like talk down to me and like throw me into, it just was very strange to me. And so that for me, because I get very triggered with yelling, and I get very triggered if someone is just being passive aggressive or vindictive or throwing insults. Having a relationship with someone who doesn't do that at all, I feel very safe, so I can open up to him about certain things. That's just been a godsend. And then also when we have our hard discussions, I know that if he had set a boundary and said, we can talk about it later, but I don't want to talk about it right now. I know that that would be okay. I don't think we've always just talked about it. We've always just been willing to just sit in the discomfort. But when we talk to each other, we acknowledge how the other person is feeling. And then we put ourselves in their position, and it just makes, I guess, the judgment, if there were any, very blurry.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
There's a couple things for me too, like if she's talking about something that I can't particularly relate to, maybe it's like something about her kid, I let her know that, like, I understand that you feel the way that you feel. I'm not going to sit there and try to take that from her. Like, I understand how you feel, because I don't. And I need her to know that I'm sympathizing and not trying to empathize unfairly, because it's not something that I can directly relate to. And I think another thing is just patience when the other person is sharing with each other, because it's really like when you're talking about things that are emotionally heavy, I think one of the worst things that you can do to somebody is just have an impulse reaction to what they say to you. And, whether that be say something hurtful or have a facial expression or shut down. Sometimes I'll just be really quiet when she's venting to me. And, for me, and I tell her I'm just listening to everything that you have to say and taking it all in and thinking about it so that I can give you a response that you need, and not just impulsively say something that's not going to be constructive in any way, So those are things that we do to kind of create that trust and safe space.
He's the reason why we communicate well. Let's just put it that way.
I wouldn't give him all the credit, Kate. I know you've been in all my communication classes, and you've gone through self-mastery and relationship.
I mean, seriously. I've had actually to learn how to communicate differently now that I'm with him, because my past relationships have been absolutely nothing like this. I mean, they consist of hanging up on the phone, yelling, storming off, calling names, belittling, and so.
What a healing gift that he's giving you, by not putting you down, by not disregarding you, by not yelling and topping you, but actually listening and letting you express yourself. And it sounds like, even though that's uncomfortable or different for you, it's really something you're valuing, and that is benefiting you, both of you, the relationship. So
yeah, it's changed me. It's changed me how I even communicate with other people. You know what I mean? It's just this whole different way,
I want to remind you guys, if you are listening on Facebook, you can jump in the chat box. I want to say hi to Daryl. Thanks for being here and chatting in the box. So if you have any questions for Shane and Kate, please type them in there and we'll ask them as well. I'm wondering, Timothy, if you have any questions that you want to ask them. And I also, Kate and Shane, I don't want to put you totally on the spot, so I'm going to ask it now. But you have two very experienced relationship coaches. I think combined experience, we have over 40 years. So if you guys have questions of what could make a great marriage or keep you going in a relationship, it would be a fun time for you guys to ask us anything that you want to.
Well, yeah, no. So actually, I think this is good because, as she said that, like, I'm leaving for basic training soon, and we're trying to really come up with healthy ways to communicate with each other long distance. I think both of us have irrational fears sometimes, like the other person's gonna fall out of love with me and we're not gonna get married and all this kind of stuff, when we both trust each other and believe in our love. And I think in our hearts that we know that's not going to happen, but just like healthy ways of, like, we've talked about like reading books together and maybe doing what is it called? Is it a devotional or what's it called?
It's a Christian-based marriage book. We actually have like 3 books that we're attempting to read, but
and then,
we like he reads a chapter, I read a chapter, and then we sit down, we compare what we read, and
we've talked about doing like FaceTime.
I mean, how amazing is that? I mean, it's super lame, but it's awesome at the same time.
we've talked about doing like FaceTime dates too, where we both kind of like dress up, nice, and like like maybe I'll have like my little dinner over there and she can kind of do something, and like just like making like special time for each other. And then when I'm in basic training so I'll be in basic training and I won't have my phone. And during that time, all we'll really be able to do is write letters, which we're actually pretty excited about.
It's romantic
because
in
it's,
a way.
very, old school romantic type thing. But when I go to tech school, I'll get my phone back. So that way we can engage in FaceTime and phone calls. But so I'll be gone potentially from mid-January till like at the very latest October 1st. So it's a long time. And we've just, if you guys have any advice as far as just how to healthily manage that time, I think we'd love to hear that.
I'm a little nervous about it. I mean, I think it's normal to have a healthy fear on some level. I'm not unrealistic about the situation. I know that after he gets out of BMT and we're able to physically see each other over FaceTime, I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I just want to commend you both for the wonderful ideas you've come up with already, reading a book together, making special date time, and dressing up for each other. I love, it's something I see in relationships, that when we meet someone, we fix ourselves up to our best, good, and groom and all that, and then it can kind of tend to go away over the years. And so I think that that's something that can keep attraction alive, is doing those nice things for each other. That's one of my little beliefs and something I like to offer. I feel happy when I get, cleaned up before my partner comes home or whatever. I feel like I'm offering a gift of something. But I love the idea of intimacy too over video. It can be very fun, and some people are like, oh my God, don't do it on Zoom, but I've had plenty of Zoom sex. So I think that can be a really juicy, fun thing too, is to have some of those dates include, intimacy, because that's a very long time to go without it.
Yeah. No, that's
I would suggest the app Signal, because it's encrypted, and so it just gives you an added layer of safety for things that are really private. Zoom's not bad, but it's not as secure as Signal.
Maybe getting Signal.
The idea that comes to me is spending the time before you go to bed at night, or if you have another moment. I'm mostly thinking of Shane because it's going to be pretty intense. He's going to be tired. So, but spending the time in a journal, or because you won't have your phone, just write, not so much what you're going to write in the emails to Kate, but just to write down what you're experiencing, what you would want to share with her about the experience that you're going through, which you'll do in the emails as well. But it could be a place where you you eventually come back to it and share with her what you were going through. And then same, Kate could write down in a journal just what she's going through in her day to day, which she might put in her emails, but there might be some things that she shares with you later. And if you're into poetry, maybe a poem or just a description of how much you love the other. And I would encourage you to work on noticing your fear, each of you, noticing the stories that the what if mind is going to create, remembering that they're stories, that they're fiction, and that they're coming out of anxiousness, fear, that the what if mind's telling a story. This could happen, that could happen. And really, in a way, if you can, learning to just hold yourself, hold that insecurity or that fear, and put more of your energy in your writing and in your thoughts to, God, I'm so grateful for Kate and all of this. I'm so grateful for Shane and all of this. And work to actively keep your fast mind, your anxious mind, which we're grateful for. Otherwise, humans wouldn't exist because we would have been killed and dead years ago. So the fast mind keeps us alive. But the fast mind's not very good at managing fear and anxiety. It tends to tell stories. So the more you can stay out of story and come back to your gratitudes, your appreciations, I think that'll help you get through that time.
Yeah, he's definitely had, over the course of our relationship, has given me certain things to kind of like symbolic things, like one being the ring. Obviously, every time I look down at it, you know, it's a reminder of his commitment to me. He also gave me, what would you call it? With your mom's ashes.
I don't even know what those are called.
There's like these porcelain boxes, and
my mom used to collect these porcelain boxes, and she had one that was specific to me, and I gave her one of them with some of my mom's ashes in it because she was cremated.
Gave me a necklace with a cross on it. Just like little things that will be planted around for when my mind plays tricks on me. I definitely have that issue. I feel different now that we're engaged. Not that I needed that, but you know, I do feel different. I'll be honest. I don't know. I'm somebody that needs a lot of, I don't want to say grooming, but I need to be reminded. I need affection. I feed off that stuff, and I'm going to have to learn to self-soothe while he's gone, especially when I can't physically see him on FaceTime or talk to him on the phone. You know, that's going to be a challenge for me. And then with the whole sex thing, you know, I too am a very physical person, and we do plan on, I'm going to fly out there. I can't wait till fucking October to have sex. Like, that's insanity. So, you know, I don't know. It's a lot for me to think about, you know. I know I won't cheat on Shane, and I will wait for Shane. I already know that. It's about having the time waiting bearable that I need, you know. So that's just, I mean, I guess my question.
My mind goes to, and I'm going to say this discreetly, but things that you enjoy doing together physically that really bring you both pleasure. Seeing if you can't, with your imagination, Kate, recreate that for yourself in ways where you imagine and feel as if Shane is with you. So rather than just masturbating, really working to recreate certain things that you like doing with him to satisfy those sexual needs, which are normal, you know. And so I'm talking around it. I think you can understand what I'm saying, but
yes.
And same that Shane it's going to be harder for him because he's probably going to be in a barracks or something. I don't know, but even then, just allowing yourself to use your imagination to really imagine, wow, he's here with me. We are taking a walk, or we're doing this activity, or we're doing this thing. And same that Shane, in the moments before he goes to bed at night, is able to take 5 minutes and just really be with you in his mind. And I think the two of you, you'll feel that your souls, which are able to travel outside of your bodies, they'll feel that connection. And you mentioned another thing. It's like just allowing yourself. You've already done some rituals, the engagement in front of the tree, the mother's ashes, and the thing. And so, just every day doing some form of a ritual that allows you, whether it's just touching that ring or sitting down and praying, and really being, again, coming back into that gratitude and stuff. I think it's going to be a great time for you, Kate. It's really going to strengthen you in some real positive ways.
Yeah. I picked up on something, Kate, when you shared that you felt better after the engagement, and then you said, not that I needed that. I just want to pick on that a little bit.
Yeah.
What's underneath, because oftentimes when we have a beautiful need that's met by something, we have shame for needing it. And so I'm wondering if there was a little shame that came up, like that you needed that to feel better, or that it helped you, or what need it met for you.
I think I was speaking loosely, because this ring for sure has definitely made me feel, I don't know, more of a guarantee, more of a safety net, more believable when it comes to his commitment to me. I mean, the one thing about Shane that I just has given me so much peace is he's fucking consistent. He doesn't, whatever he says, he's always followed through. Not one time has he not followed through. His consistency with me has given me, has quieted down the negative voices in my head of something not working out. Like when he says he's gonna come back and marry me, I believe that.
It's so I'm hearing some needs met for safety, for security, and for certainty and trust. And I think I can relate to really having those needs. And for myself as a woman, and I've talked to many women, and it's similar, not all women, but many women, that when we have, I love to think of the divine masculine as like a container, right? It's holding the space. And when we have that safety and we feel like we have a container, we can be the ocean and be whatever we are in a bowl of safety, and being in the divine feminine that is much more moody than the male energy. And of course, we all have masculine and feminine. So I'm not talking about we're only masculine or feminine, but I know for me, when I have the safety, when I feel the safety, security, certainty, and trust, my love or my flower can bloom wide open in a way that it cannot when I don't feel that.
Well, it's so funny you said that, because we've said this to each other numerous times. With each other, we are our full, authentic self. We're both very animated, playful, like outgoing, outspoken people, and we just bring that like childlike persona out in each other. We laugh. We just laugh.
I like the point that you made too about how you can fully blossom when you do have that trust and safety, because I feel like, because of how traumatic both our pasts were, and because of us both having awful past relationship experiences, that we both came into this, even though we were so excited about it, with our guards fully up. And once we broke those walls down and trusted each other, our relationship just took off to like insane new heights, And so that is something that we both needed, and she's not alone in feeling that. I needed it too.
Cry.
So yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, it's true. Like I think that we just, I trust her, and I have trusted her, but like, I think there was, because of what we'd both been through, that we needed to know that we trusted each other. And I think that was done in proving it to each other, lovingly. We had to do the work. And like that whole one day at a time thing you said earlier, like I was thinking about it, like, it's I think like approaching many things in life, like recovery is just really interesting because like, you know, you don't get anywhere in recovery without doing the work. And I feel like that really just applies to like everything meaningful in life, and like that really, it's the case with our relationship too. We have to just put in the work. Without putting in the work, that safety and trust wouldn't have been established for either one of us. But yeah, no, I mean, I've I've had the ring on me for like 2 months now. So I feel I don't feel I do feel different, but it's more of just like an excited different, just like, wow, I'm engaged now. This is awesome. Like that kind of excitement. But I just felt like, this is like, I don't know. The the reason that I asked her to marry me is because I'm in love with her and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I mean, that's the reason. But it does make me feel happy that it gives her that peace.
I will say I actually thought about us getting hitched when we came to Carmel. This is before we had come here. This is like a month ago. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I was in a lot of fear, and I thought, okay, if we get married, then we can't change his mind during the course of him leaving, and that's my love addict. That's my control of wanting to, just have a hold on the situation. And I was able to work myself out of it and just, and just trust the process, and just trust it. And we pray a lot together.
Mm-hmm.
And having
Prayed
that
today.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? But it totally works. It's super strange. I mean, anybody who's watching this, like, I'm a gangster, and I'm not somebody that would do any of this crap. But I mean, God, it really does work. It does. And when you find the right one, it's easy. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I guess when you have to be open and vulnerable with somebody, but I don't know. It just when
it's time for it to be tough, you do it, and that of course is going to be tough, but it makes the rest of it easy.
Yeah.
And
we realize we've never been in love before. I mean, not true love.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even explain this feeling. I didn't even know this shit existed. I mean, I'm a subscriber to Disney Plus, but
yeah, to the fantasy love addiction channel. They got it going on.
I will say that it's because
Uh-oh.
it's because I didn't settle. I didn't stay in those relationships, and I held my and I hate to say it, but I did it for my daughter. I had a certain standard that I wanted for Sky, and that in itself helped me comb through the fuck boys. You know what I mean? And I didn't settle, and I just Shane is so great with Sky, and that's the most attractive thing about our relationship, is seeing him with my daughter. It just warms my heart bigger than anything else. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's just, yeah. Oh, when you just get, because I used to get really uncomfortable and then just stay in bad relationships because I didn't want to go through the emotional withdrawal of losing somebody I was comfortable with, miserable but comfortable. And I've prayed to have God put somebody in my life. And I told this to Shane the other day. I said, I remember when Skylar she was still really young, and I had prayed to God saying, please put somebody in my life that is good for me. And it was like this like weird thing. I say it was like, what was it? It's like, not now, and it's not going to be for a while. And then I said, how long? And then in my mind, I just told myself years, and it's because I didn't settle during the course of those years. I worked on myself, and I kept praying about it, and out popped Shane. you know?
Yeah, beautiful.
It's crazy.
When I'm listening to you, Kate, I hear that in truth, your relationship with God, your relationship to your higher self, does know that you know what you're doing and does know what's best for you and what's right for you. And you were praying for it, and your daughter was like a beacon. She helped you even when you wanted to forget or be delusional. You'd look at her and be like, this has got to stop. I got to get out of this, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love what Shane said about doing the work. I think that everything in life, just like you said, everything in life that we have a degree of mastery around or a big desire for, we have to learn skills and we have to use those skills on a daily basis. It's one of my soapboxes I could go on about relationship, because it saddens me that we, as humans in the group conscious, there are many of us that spend tons of time learning about our work and our vocation, and we put hours in and we do that. And we also learn a new language if we want to learn a new language, or we learn how to drive. We learn everything, but nobody teaches us how to do relationships or how to parent. And I think those, for me, of course, that's why I do the work that I do, are my two biggest passions in life: parenting and intimate relationships. And I think it takes a lot of skill, and it takes daily maintenance. And I love that you guys so early on in your relationship, and not even at the point of conflict or breakup, which is oftentimes when we get people, that you're already putting in the work. You're reading books together, you're doing the work together, you're praying together. And these are things that create a lasting love affair.
Yeah, I mean, it's like AA for me. You know me. I want the results without putting in the work, you know? And the fact, and maybe it's my codependence and my love addict, but because I'm in a relationship with Shane, I really want to put in the work. And when I do, you know, we just flourish together, you know? So it's pretty incredible. And you know what? I think the sweetest thing Shane has ever said to me was that he loves me for me, not what I could be, not anything like that. He just, me at my core, you know, as I am right now, you know? So.
The one thing I would say that whenever I'm working with a couple on their vows or helping them decide if they want to get married, the one, for me, something that's important, I don't really want to work with people who don't get this. I think the two of you get what I'm about to say, and that is your relationship to the higher power within you, and that guidance system is more important than anything else. And if you can maintain that and maintain the relationship with each other, then you've got this nice triangle. You've got your relationship with God, you have your relationship with each other, and those two things are serving you, but they're serving the relationship, and ultimately they're serving your higher power, your best healing, your best learning, your growth. And if you can remember to not let the relationship get more important than God, but it's like the foundation for your relationship with God, then you've got a relationship that is true. It's true to source. It's true to God. It's one that's helping both of you. And I see a lot of couples who start to try to flip that around, and that's not a pyramid that's going to stay, right? It's like God needs to be first, and the relationship is the foundation for that experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I agree completely.
I love that too, Timothy. And I think of a three-legged stool. If one of the legs was missing, you'd fall over. So, and I think of it as the relationship with higher power, the coupleship, like the relationship between the two of you, and then your individual relationship with yourself. And if one of those fails, you're going to fall over. Like, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of the coupleship and the relationship with God, with higher power.
Mm.
love that. I wanted to take the opportunity, Kate, and I had no plans of doing this, but I thought, why not? So Timothy and I both support people. It's what we do for a living. And we do these talks, of course, free, but we both offer strategy sessions that are complimentary, and they're about 20 minutes long. And it's just for you to get clear and see if we're a fit and working with us. But I thought I would ask you, Kate, because you have worked with me for a long time, if you could just share how it's helped you in your relationship recovery with any, parents, kids, beloved, because we've done a lot of relationship work, or share your experience with that. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. I think the biggest one is meeting and accepting someone where they're at, and understanding that, like, for example, we've done a lot of work around my mom, and being able to set boundaries and accept who she is, and just not putting myself in harm's way. I mean, for me, that probably has, I don't know what else to touch on. I mean, there's that.
How has getting help helped you in relationship? How has working with me over the years helped you in your relationships?
I mean, it's definitely helped me not be so reactive. I'm able to take a step back and look at it from, I guess, my shadow self. And, like, one of the things I love to say is, you name it to tame it. And a lot of the times when I feel I'm a very reactive person. I've gotten a lot better over the years. Um, Being able to kind of get myself in a calm state and then come back to the issue has really helped. I mean, I don't really, you know me, I'm not good at talking. I mean, I talk a lot, but
That was a great thing that you just named, though, that learning to be less reactive was one of the benefits that you got from your work with Heidi. And learning to be less reactive, as you pointed out, helps you stay out of the line of fire when there's no need to even get involved in it, right? Like some of the dynamics with your mom, you're able to go, I don't even need to do that dance.
well, for example, like, my daughter's father, we would, he would fuck up, and we would get into an argument, and then I would say and do things that were hurtful because I was hurting, and then the issue at hand would get covered up, and it would be my fault, and I'd be the one having to apologize because of how I reacted, and now when there is an issue with him, I've set core boundaries. Like, him and I don't talk on the phone often. Like, there's like certain things that I know are my trigger points, and I've written them down, and those are my boundaries, and I can't cross those boundaries. And when I don't cross them, I'm able to maintain the mental peace that I've been wanting. It's when I try to rewrite the rules. That's when I catch myself slipping again. It's very simple for me. Like, just do X, Y, and Z, and I won't do A, B, and C. So
What I hear you saying is that by learning to not be reactive with your pain, but take care of it in a different way, it keeps the spotlight, if you will, on the other person and their behavior, which probably is helping. Well, at the very least, it keeps the focus where it needs to be, but it's also probably the better way for your ex to examine himself and learn to maybe do things differently, because he's got to just sit there. He's not getting to get distracted by you reacting, and then he can blame that, like you said, get all caught up in that.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and then another thing really fast. I love that Heidi has taught me to not put all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. I forget, it's like a circle, and you have your core people, you have the people that you're close with, and then you have, like, your outside people. And I used to put, for instance, like a toxic friend in my core circle, and then they would backstab me, and I'd wonder why they kept hurting me. Well, those people needed to be on the outside circle. And in this circle, I still hung out with them, but I didn't tell them certain things because I knew that they weren't trustworthy, you know, and being able to keep them in separate circles has helped me maneuver through those relationships and not get so resentful. You know, I wish I had a relationship with my mother where I could be open and honest with, but I know that I can't, you know, and so I don't keep her in that core circle. And that helps me not build resentment, not start fights. I've cried a lot about not having that with her, but that's just my situation. And I've been able to get those needs met by other people who that I mirror as my mother would say, as someone who I can look to as a mom, you know. So
I think it's so important what you just said, and it's a lot of work, but she's speaking of what I call placement boundaries. And oftentimes we're really frustrated with people in our life because we want them to be something that they're not. And so it's taking a true inventory of what's true now. I mean, people change, whatever, but what is true now with the people in our life? And then setting boundaries and showing up according to that rather than, you know, I used to be married to someone who relapsed, and when he relapsed, he was very different than he was when he was sober. So I had to accept the new reality, and I'm not going to interact with him in the same way I did, expecting him to show up the way he did when he was sober. And so that's kind of what we're talking about, is really getting honest with ourselves and then showing up in a way where we're safe in the relationships that we're choosing to have. So is there anything else? We're going to close the talk soon.
I really appreciate the two of you jumping on with us and being so open. And I hope we get to check in with you too as you move along. So that would be fun.
It would be really fun to have you guys back and just kind of update. And the thing is, when he can get on social media, even if you're in two separate places, we could have you both on again and check in with your love story and touch up any challenges that you guys are going through. And I really appreciate you taking part of your time. I know it's so precious when you don't have your daughter and you're having time together, and that you shared it with us. A deep appreciation to both of you, Kate and Shane. I love you guys, and I'm so thrilled and happy, and was so overjoyed, Kate, sharing it with me. You just blessed my heart.
Guys, thank you so much for asking us to be on this. I absolutely would love to do this in a couple months to see. Yeah. When he's out of BMT.
So stay on. I'm going to end the call. So please, those of you who are out there, if you're needing support or you want to do some of the work that was shared tonight, reach out to Timothy or I. We'd love to talk with you. And we'll be seeing you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Aloha.